house guests. Welcome to today's Big Brother 23 updates and spoilers. Happy Labor Day. Gosh, I just love working on Labor Day every year. But anyway, I'm glad that you're all here. Let's have a good time together, right? No, today's spoiler is a real freaking bummer. But anyway, our house guests of the day are, is it Sandy or Sunday? Either way, beautiful name. Sandy Quenneville and Julia Mello. Thank you both so much for the support. We could not do this without you, and we appreciate it so, so much. So thank you again. And if you guys want to be house guests of the day, check out our Patreon link in the info box below. It's only $1 for me to pronounce your name wrong. What could be better? I also want to thank yesterday's super chatters because that is also a fantastic way to support this channel and keep us doing what we're doing. So Vajrath, Nicole's Needlework, Vajrath again, Dean Thomas, John S., and Alex Garza. Thank you all so much for yesterday's super chats. And I see we've got some super chatters today. Yay. Susie Loy, thank you so much. And Susie says, I liked Xavier up until this past week or so, kind of a baby when things don't go his way. Right? She says she hopes Tiffany wins. Yeah. Xavier has been really pissing me off this week. I mean, it's gotten to the point where whenever I see him on the feeds, I'm just like, who's on the other feed? Because I can't. It's exhausting. It's too much. But thank you again, Susie. Jefferson Tucker, thank you so much for the super chat. He says, yesterday was the first time in years watching live feeds that made me cry like a baby. Get ready for the Labor Day spoiler show. Lights, Yeti, action. Yeah, I definitely also cried watching the feeds yesterday. We'll get there, but oh my God, it was very, very sad. So anyway, let's get started. When we left off yesterday, Tiffany and Kylan were getting a little romantic in the HOH room. I was not expecting that. That was wild. But anyway, on a more serious note, Alyssa and Xavier are up on the block. Alyssa won the power veto, and Tiffany is planning on sticking with the cookout. She's putting up her own +1, Claire, if Alyssa uses the power veto on herself. Because Tiffany is still holding out hope that they can convince Alyssa to use the POV on Xavier instead of herself. No way. Even if they could convince Alyssa to do that, Xavier would not let it happen. He would be like, hell no. Tiffany is also trying to figure out how to break the news to Claire that she's going up on the block. Just tell her about the cookout. It'll be so much less painful for everyone if you just tell her straight up. But Xavier is working hard to make sure that the cookout is still not exposed because he doesn't want Alyssa to find out while she's still in the house. It's all about Xavier. All right. Oh my God. So anyway, Xavier and Kylan were chatting in the coral bedroom yesterday. Guess who they're talking about? Who else but Tiffany? So Xavier says Tiffany is not in a position to be making demands right now. He is pissed that she's asking to stay off the block next week, especially since she hasn't seen the block yet. And he's like, she brought this on herself. Nobody said she had to win the HOH this week, and now she has to put up her own +1, blah, blah, blah. But it's funny because nobody told Xavier that he had to take that punishment during the POV, whatever, last week, 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. I don't even care anymore. And now he's complaining that he's been up on the block 3 times, but he's only been nominated by the HOH once. So clip. All right. Anyway, Xavier says we need to just tell Tiffany what she wants to hear until after the power veto ceremony because we need to make sure she's going to put Claire up on the block. And then after that, I don't give an F what happens. Ooh, all right. So Xavier says if Alyssa wins the next HOH, she will put up Tiffany and Hannah because that's what he's going to tell her to do. And he says Tiffany will go. And if Alyssa leaves next week, which is supposed to be what the cookout is doing, he says he wants Tiffany out at final 6. And then after her, he wants Hannah out because his ideal final 4 is Xavier, Kylan, Big D, and Azza. No! Okay, so what will Kylan do with all this information. I mean, it seems like he's kind of close to Tiffany now, but don't get excited because Kylan will disappoint us. Okay, so then Tiffany and Azah have a long chat in the HOH room, and Tiffany says, I can't tell Claire about the cookout without everyone in the cookout's permission. Xavier is not going to let it happen. He's not. So she says she's sending Claire out for the 6th, even though she knows that she could be following Claire to the jury next. She knows she's got a huge target on her back after what went down this week, but she wants to stay true to the cookout. So she is following through on her promise, even though it is a huge detriment to her game. So then they were talking about what's going to happen next week, and Tiffany is not confident that Xavier would target Alyssa if he were to win HOH. If he was in the same position where he's got to put up his own person, she doesn't see him following through. And I gotta say, me neither. He's freaking obsessed with Alyssa. Oh my goodness. So Azah brings up how almost everyone in the cookout wants to throw the next HOH competition because they are all salivating over going after each other at the final 6. So nobody wants to win next week and be ineligible to compete the next week. Except for like Big D. He wants this win because he knows nobody else is going to be going for it. So he's like, finally, a chance for me to shine. So Tiffany says, no, everyone's got a gun for this next HOH to take Alyssa out. If we're all really in this together, we need to be going for this HOH, or else there's a good chance Alyssa's going to win. And Tiffany knows she could definitely be going up on the block. Even if somebody from the cookout does win, she's pretty confident she will probably be going up as a pawn next to Alyssa. So Tiffany is also trying to figure out what she's going to say to Claire. She wants to tell her that she was trying to keep her safe this week, and that's why she won HOH again, back to back. And she's going to tell Claire, like, I wasn't supposed to win this one, but I really wanted to protect you. And she says, now that Alyssa won the power veto, I don't have any other options. I made a promise to Xavier, Kylan, Azah, Hannah, and Big D that I wouldn't put 2 of them up at the same time. So she's basically telling them about the cookout, but making it seem more like this was just like some deal or whatever, not a solidified alliance that's been together this whole entire season. But Azah is cool with this. She likes what Tiffany's come up with. She says Claire's going to find out about the cookout anyway, so we may as well tell her ahead of time so that you can be honest with her, And she says, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Somebody's going to be upset no matter what. So Tiffany says she just does not want to have to weave a web of lies to Claire. And she says if Claire starts to unravel it, which she will because she's smart, and we were going to have a few days before the eviction, Tiffany says, I will start to unravel. I can't keep this crazy story together. So after, Tiffany talks to the cameras and she says, yes, it's hard to put Claire up on the block, but I always knew that I was going to have to lose her. And she says, I didn't think that I would be the one sending her out, though. That's what's making it really difficult. Plus, she says, the challenging part is fabricating some lie about why I need to put Claire up on the block. She says, I don't feel good about that. She really just wants to be honest with her. She doesn't want to lose Claire's respect in or out of this game. She also mentioned she's trying to think of what her family would tell her she should do. And she feels like her son would just want her to tell Claire the truth. We all do. We want you to tell her. And Tiffany agrees. She thinks that's the right thing to do. But again, she's got to check in with the cookout and see what they think. So then Azah was chatting with Kylan and Hannah in the bathroom. And Azah is telling them about this idea that she has. She still, again, she wants the cookout to be honest with Claire and Alyssa. She wants to tell them the truth, or at least some of the truth. She likes Tiffany's idea of saying that they had some sort of a deal that they wouldn't put 2 of them up at the same time. She says Claire will really respect and appreciate it if we're honest with her. And she figures Claire's probably going to share that information with Alyssa. And she says, when it comes down to it, I want to make sure a Black person wins this season. So Azah is willing to sacrifice her own game here to make sure that somebody from the cookout wins. So Azah says, I think after we tell Alyssa about the cookout, we should offer her a final 5 deal. So if Alyssa wins the next HOH, she can take out whoever she wants, whatever. And then the following week, we still don't go after Alyssa. We follow through on that final 5 deal. And if somebody from our group needs to go, I don't have a problem with it being me. What? Azah, no. So I think she's really feeling like she hasn't contributed enough to the group because, like, that's what Big D told her the other day. And it was, like, really messed up. And then when she asked Xavier about it, like, do you think I've contributed to the group? He, like, couldn't come up with examples. So I think that also really upset her. But yeah, she says she would rather someone else from the cookout stay who can win competitions and get Alyssa out after Final 5. Damn. Azah, no. Okay, so Kylan says, I think you're onto something here. He says he's also leaning towards being upfront with Claire and Alyssa. He sees the benefit of being honest with them. So then Tiffany and Xavier chat in the HOH room. And Tiffany says, I am terrible at lying. She's not confident in this complicated ass lie that they're putting together to try and keep Claire in the dark. And she says, I'm not going to be able to sell this because I can't even like make sense of it myself. So Tiffany shares her idea. Tell Claire that she was targeting Alyssa this week, which is true. And that she promised Xavier, Kylan, Azah, Hannah, and Big D that she wouldn't put 2 of them up together. So Xavier's like, you don't think she'd put the cookout together with that information? And Tiffany's like, I don't know, she might. Like, I wasn't saying that. She might figure it out right as we're talking. But Tiffany says at some point, Claire and everyone else will figure out that we've lied. We've lied like this whole time. So Xavier says, yeah, in the jury, though, he wants Alyssa to find out, and Claire to find out when they're in the jury house. Oh my God. He does not want to face Alyssa while they're still in the house. A lot of people on Twitter were saying that Xavier is like that dude that always breaks up with girls via text because he just doesn't have the courage to break up with them in person. And it's just like such a good parallel here. But Xavier says if Alyssa knows about the cookout and she wins HOH, it could be really dangerous. And Tiffany argues, no, like you'd probably have more control over her decisions because Alyssa will know that she only has you. You are the closest person to her. But Xavier disagrees. He says, Alyssa would know that I betrayed her the most. And he says, you don't know Alyssa like I know Alyssa. Oh my God. I'm sorry, but apparently Azah's zing was about her having a crush on Xavier and him rejecting her. But where was Xavier's zing about having a freaking ridiculous ass crush on Alyssa and her not reciprocating that? But anyway, after Xavier was talking to Azah in the yacht club bedroom, and he is not happy that a bunch of the cookouts stayed up all night the night before trying to come up with the cover story that they were going to try and sell to Claire, and now people are trying to change it up. So Azah starts telling him about her plan, telling Claire and Alyssa the truth, making a final 5 deal with Alyssa. Azah just kind of bows out, but Xavier says, no, Alyssa will not want to do shit with me if she finds out the truth. So again, this is all about Xavier's game. It doesn't matter what's good for everybody else in the cookout. It's all about Xavier. So X says, none of you guys know Alyssa like I know Alyssa. He said that many times yesterday. And he said, if Alyssa finds out that I've been lying to her for 9 straight weeks, if she wins HOH, she'll probably take me out first. Okay. But Azah says, Alyssa's going to piece things together anyway. And Xavier says, finding out in the house and finding out in jury are different. So Xavier's like, you know what? Y'all just figure out what you want to do and I'll be on board. Not really. He's just saying that. He's not going to be on board. So then the cookout just continues to scramble. They're trying to decide what they're going to do. Xavier's talking to Big D at one point, and X says he feels like he's getting effed over again, since his person will still be in the house. And everybody else is fine with telling her, but he doesn't want that. So he says they're making the assumption that they know Alyssa better than I do. This is getting weird. So Xavier says, if everyone else wants to be straight up about the cookout, then fine. But then if I win HOH next, I don't want anyone saying shit about what I do with it. Bruh, we get it. You would keep Alyssa over the cookout. We know. It's ridiculous. So at one point, Xavier was alone and he tells the cameras, if they want to do that, meaning spill about the cookout, he says, then vote me out and I'll deal with all that shit in jury. Don't even put Claire up. Put someone else up and vote me out. Then y'all can expose it and deal with the aftermath. The drama! Oh my God. Okay, so more scrambling. And then eventually it's time for Tiffany to break the news to Claire. Oh my God. So they're chatting in the HOH room. And this was so hard to watch. This was also a really long conversation, but here are the highlights. So Tiffany says, at this point, my plan is not going as planned, and I'm weighing all of my options here. Tiffany says, obviously, Alyssa's going to use the power veto on herself, and I'm really struggling right now to keep personal gameplay out of this game. She says, I'm in a position where my personal decisions are going to affect my gameplay. And then Tiffany was talking about how they've both been targets the last few weeks, especially Claire. And she says, I want HOH to keep us safe. She says Alyssa was her target this week. And she says, I don't have any game deals with Xavier. But on a personal level, I don't want to be the person to send out Azza, Hannah, Big D, Kai, or Xavier. I don't want to sit two of them next to each other. So Tiffany says, this is where it starts to take a turn in the conversation. Tiffany says, as much as I want to ride this thing out with you, I don't have anybody else to put up on the block. And as she's saying this, Tiffany starts tearing up, and Claire's like, you're going to put me up? Ah! And Tiffany says, I have to put you up. But you, more than anyone else in this house, has the opportunity to beat Xavier and stay this week. Just be honest with her. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? So Claire says, they're just going to vote me out. Tiff, they're just going to vote me out. So then Claire is getting emotional. She says, Big D, Alyssa, Kylan, they're going to vote me out. And we know you only need 3 votes this week. So Tiffany says, well, Azza and Hannah may not vote you out, and then you would just need 1 more to stay. So Tiffany says she loves Claire to death. She's been so torn over this. She says, I never wanted to be the one to put you in this situation. She says, game aside, I didn't want to be responsible for sending out any of them either. She's talking about the cookout. So she says, if Xavier goes this week, that's not on me. Like, if you are able to stay against Xavier, that's not on me. I didn't put 2 people from that group up together. And she says, I think you have the opportunity to stay. I'm pretty sure Claire realizes that it's not looking good for her at this point, judging by how Tiffany is talking about the situation with the tears in her eyes. It's not good. So Tiffany says, I don't want to lie to you. I want to be as honest with you as I can. But you are lying. So Claire is then crying. She's like, are you in an alliance with them? And Tiffany says no. Oh, just tell her the truth. Tiffany says, I had my own personal feelings about how I wanted to play this game. And she says, I know I'm probably high on all of their radars now. And if you go, I'm probably going to be right behind you. But that's fine with me. I would rather them take me out than me take out one of them. So then Tiffany says, I tried everything I could to make sure it was Alyssa leaving this week and not you, which is true. I mean, she was not supposed to win that HOH competition. And Claire says, I know you're fighting hard for me. And Tiffany says, I don't want you to give up this week. So Claire says she's not going to give up. And then Claire starts crying so hard. She's straight up sobbing, and she apologizes for crying. Claire, stop it. Oh my God. So then Claire says she never would have done this to Tiffany. Tiffany starts crying really hard. They're hugging each other. Tiffany's saying she's so sorry. It was so heartbreaking to watch this. And I'm like dreading having to see it again on the show. But Claire, I gotta say, was taking it extremely well. It was never like an anger thing when she was talking to Tiffany. It was just like straight up sadness. So then Azza comes in at one point and sees them crying and leaves. So then Claire tells Tiffany, you have to do what you have to do. And I get it. And Tiffany keeps saying she wants Claire to fight and stay, but we know it's not looking good for Claire. So they both talk about how much they respect each other. Claire is saying they're still going to be friends after this. She's not going to hold this against Tiffany. She says, you're my girl. And that just killed me. Oh my God. So Claire says, if I go, you need to stay and you need to fight. So they talked for a little while longer, crying, laughing together. I'm glad that they shared some laughs as well. It was just so sad to see. I seriously have to give Claire some real props for how she handled this. I just wish that Tiffany would have been more honest with her. I think even if Tiffany had spilled straight up about the cookout and asked Claire, like, hey, don't tell anybody that I told you this, Claire would probably respect that, at least until she got to the jury house, right? I don't think that Claire would try to throw Tiffany under the bus, so I wish she would have just been 100% honest with her, but it is what it is. So then a little later, Claire was talking to the cameras, and she's saying, I'm going to fight to stay. She's hoping that she can get Azza, Hannah, and Kyland. She's saying maybe they'll want to look out for themselves instead of sticking together. I don't know. But she's saying it would really suck if she leaves this week, but also she would not be mad at Tiffany. She says, I don't think Tiffany's playing me, but if she is, she deserves to win this game. Oh! Okay, so anyway, Claire says, even if I do go out, I'll never regret aligning with Tiffany. That is my girl. So then late last night, Tiffany and Hannah were strategizing for the future. I will say too, Claire, she told, I think, Kyland and Hannah that she knew she was going up on the block. But other than that, she didn't like make a big scene about it. She didn't want Tiffany to really be like talking to other people about it. So that whole thing was really mellowed out last night. But okay, Tiffany and Hannah strategizing. They are now saying that they want to target Xavier first from the cookout, not Big D, because Tiffany is realizing just how powerful Xavier is, how many people he has with him. He needs to be the first one to go once they get down to the final 6. And Hannah seems to be agreeing with that. But then Tiffany's like, what if we take out Xavier this week? You know, me, you, Claire, and Kylan, we can write it out to the end. But Hannah's like, no. Not into that part. She wants the cookout to make it to the final 6, and then they can take out Xavier. Okay. So actually, Kylan joined them at one point too, and Tiffany was talking about potentially taking out Xavier first at the final 6. And unfortunately, Kylan brought that back to Xavier this morning. So it looks like Kylan really is with the guys more than anyone else. Boo. Okay. So back to last night. Tiffany is still planning out a pitch to make to Alyssa to get her to use power of veto on Xavier. You're wasting your time. Okay. So then today they did have the power veto ceremony, and Tiffany did make a pitch to Alyssa right before the ceremony. We did not see it on the live feeds because she wanted to do it right before so that Alyssa would not have a chance to talk about it with Xavier before the ceremony. But it didn't work. Alyssa used the power veto on herself. Tiffany put up Claire in her place. And Claire and Xavier are up on the block. And we know how this is going to go. Unless something insane happens, Claire will be leaving in 3 days. But the craziest thing of all, even with this happening, Alyssa is still in the dark. Alyssa thinks that she masterminded Claire going up on the block. I just can't. I can't. we'll be talking more about that tomorrow. We'll pick it up there. But I guess Zingbot was right about Alyssa. She might be a little dim-witted. But anyway, that's where we're at right now. So I hope you guys are all having a wonderful Labor Day. Hello there.
Wow.
I want to thank today's super chatters because you guys are awesome. Where's my baby?
They are outside.
Oh, okay. That's fair. All right. They're enjoying their Labor Day. So here we go. Susie Loy, thank you so much. Jefferson Tucker, thank you so much. John S., thank you so much. Justin Tanner, thank you so much. And Justin has a question. Do you think Tiffany not turning on X this week will cost her the game? Here's the thing. There have been so many points this season where I was like, whoa, Tiffany's doing too much. She's doing the most, and I think she's ruining her game right now. But this time, it feels like it could be real. I'm really worried for her.
She's done.
I'm really worried for her because who does she have with her moving forward this week besides Hannah and possibly Azza?
She doesn't have Azza.
I feel like Azza is genuine when she says she would not put Tiffany up on the block, but I'm nervous because Xavier just has to be like, and then Azza's like, so I'm a little bit nervous about that, but
is Azza really gonna win?
That's another thing. Azza has not done great in competition so far, and Tiffany cannot compete in the next HOH competition. So if so many of the Cookout members are planning on throwing this next HOH and it's just like Big D and Alyssa really going for it, that's not good for Tiffany. It's really bad for Tiffany. So I'm nervous for her. Yeah.
Nothing is good for Tiffany right now.
Yeah. I mean, I give her props for sticking with the Cookout and following through on that. But it breaks my heart to see her do it, knowing that she could have just given away her chances of winning this whole thing.
She's damned if she did, and she's damned
Exactly.
if she
That's
doesn't.
what Azza was saying, right? All right. So thank you again, Justin. Catherine Cruz, thank you so much for the super chat. And Catherine says, when Tiffany told Claire that she's right behind her after this week, so why can't she just keep her off the block? It doesn't make sense. Tiffany ruined her game. She just wanted to stick with the Cookout. She didn't want to be that person to turn on the Cookout after they've been working together this whole season, after
They're gonna get rid of her either way.
Yeah, well, that too. But I mean, just I can't imagine
she's gonna stick with her alliance.
The pressure that is on all of the Cookout members this season, just knowing the history of this show for the last 22 seasons and how African Americans haven't really had the same chance to win this whole thing. It's a lot of pressure, and I'm sure they feel like they can't play the game that they really want to play this season for the most part. So I think that's a huge part of it. So I feel bad for her, but I see why she did what she did. Thank you again for your super chat. Lisa, thank you for your super chat. Janine Hanberger, thank you so much. And Janine says, I don't understand X. He throws the competition, then complains. It makes no sense. Xavier has the hero complex, or he likes to talk about how
he sacrifices.
And yet there's a lot of competitions that he's also throwing because he doesn't want the attention on him. He doesn't want everyone to see what a comp beast he is. So he's not doing this all for the good of the Cookout. Let's be real. And there's a lot of stuff that he's saying like, oh, I'm doing this for your game. I'm doing this for your game. But no, he's doing it for his own game. So he's got some hero complex stuff going on there, I think. Also, he just throws hissy fits when things don't go his way. So anyway, Jefferson Tucker, thank you so much for the super chat again. He says, fan film special announcement. Oh, is it the dogs coming in the room?
No.
We want that. But he says, the best of puppet show theater. Whoa. Chenbot, Time Warp, Cody Style. Oh, Time Warp, Cody Style. Diary room sessions and much more coming soon. That's exciting. I can't wait to see that. Definitely send us that link when you're done.
You.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's awesome. I'm sure everyone else is going to enjoy that too.
Jefferson is a whiz.
Yeah, thank you.
Love it.
And so generous.
Yes.
Phil D, thank you so much for the super chat. And Phil says, do you think the cookout will make it harder or easier for POC in future seasons? Future HOHs will easily target POC, assuming they may be allied. That's a good question.
Katy Perry situation. Ain't no going back.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that this is the only season where an alliance like the Cookout would be possible, because I think people are going to be looking more closely in future seasons to see if that's happening again. I would hope that it's not going to make people target people of color more, you know what I mean? Like, I'm hoping it's just going to kind of neutralize everything after this season.
I don't think so.
I don't know. It's tough to say. It is really tough to say. But
I think it was a big mistake because they didn't need the alliance to win.
Well, they're trying to guarantee that one of them will win.
They didn't need to do the 6. They would have been much more successful, and they just did what they were accusing everybody else of doing to ensure a win for themselves.
I don't know. It's so hard just with the context of the previous 22 seasons.
Yeah.
It's a very difficult situation, but I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see what happens, right?
It's a mess.
It is a mess. I see Vajra. Thank you so much for the super chat. Let me get you on here. Okay. And Vajra says, remember when the Cookout guys said that the women needed to start pulling their weight and win competitions, right? And now that they don't have all the control, they're pissed off. So they're going to complain about the women no matter what.
Well, they wanted the women to win early to do their dirty work, and then they wanted to win later on so that they could get rid of the women.
Yeah, it's a little ridiculous. But anyway, you guys know how I feel about the Cookout men. Cookout women, though? Okay. So anyway, that's all we got today. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Labor Day. We'll see you all tomorrow. So until then, much love. Thanks for watching. Bye.